Hello, viewers and fans of Lore Counterside. First of all, I apologize because I was playing another FPS game, so I forgot to make another Lore Counterside. Enjoy this summary of the Counterside story that has been made. Here, I want to tell you about Moors, or Ecclesia the Great Silence. So let's see the discussion. In the substream series Avengers, Goodbye Tana Baron, Carnival, and Episode 11, Exile, Elysian is the largest and most powerful nation, ruling the largest landmass on the planet. Then there's a woman named Ecclesia, known as Elysian's strongest warrior. Ecclesia is an awakened with the Defender class in the Counterside game. She has bright blonde hair, a tall figure, a beautiful face, and cold, piercing red eyes. Ecclesia is the supreme leader of Elysian, a nation whose foundations closely resemble Christianity and the Church. The governing organization of Elysian is called the Elysian Order. The order functions like a parliament, court, and so on, but its politicians adhere to the same religion. The clergy are the ones who regulate various aspects of Elysian's government. The supreme leader of the Elysian Order is called the Pope. However, because the Pope died leading the war in Counterside, Ecclesia, who was the second in command of the organization, was promoted to the rank of head of the organization without a coronation. In this world setting, the Church of Elysian is extremely racist against people of different faiths. They structurally create concentration camps that persecute people of different faiths. This persecution takes the form of being placed in concentration camps or not being allowed to live near major cities. The majority of people who don't share their faith live very close to the opposite side and are frequently attacked by monsters. Ecclesia's ability is to grow stronger based on the faith placed in her by humanity. This ability is quite common in many isekai genre stories. The people's faith acts as a buff to the hero. The more faith and loyalty she gains, the stronger Ecclesia becomes. While this ability may sound powerful, as if she were appointed to protect the world like a hero, Ecclesia is not at all an antagonist of this world. However, with this ability, Ecclesia always participates in expeditions to eliminate the threat of corrupted objects alongside the special forces she leads. This is also her primary duty as the cardinal who leads Elysian. Part 1. Ecclesia and Mordred. As previously explained, the Order frequently persecuted people. Among those persecuted by them were Mordred and Audra. Let's first discuss Mordred's story in the Avengers substream. Mordred was born with a special birthmark. This permanent birthmark was created by Merlin's magic to brand the descendants of the traitorous king of Avalon, who lived long before Elysian was founded. Merlin, who loved the king of Avalon, held a grudge against the traitor and their descendants by giving them the birthmark. Merlin also left behind a legend that those with this birthmark would bring misfortune to those around them. Thus, those of this bloodline would live a difficult life and be persecuted due to the fear of society. Merlin's actions successfully led to their persecution. As a result, descendants of traitors like Mordred and his mother lived in poverty, fear, and hiding from society. Even after the kingdom of Avalon was no longer there, and Merlin had actually fled to a small village, this legend still lingered in the minds of the people. Now, let's get into the discussion of Ecclesia. One day, Mordred's village was attacked by monsters. He was struggling to save as many people as possible. Then, Ecclesia was tasked with securing the area attacked by monsters. Ecclesia saved Mordred, who was almost dead. After completing that, she recruited Mordred because she believed Mordred would be a talented Helgon. Even Ecclesia expressed her desire for him to join in defeating Fagirian one day. Mordred was very happy with Ecclesia's warmth and served her happily. He was even promoted in a short time. However, Ecclesia's plan failed because the Order knew about the cursed birthmark. The Order's higher-ups would punish Moldred without any justice. Moldred was not allowed to defend himself in court. Ecclesia was very unhappy when Moldred was being held. However, Ecclesia also understood the Order's fears about the legend left by Merlin. She came to the prison to tell him to escape from Elysian. Ecclesia's heart was not willing to lose Moldred that day. Ecclesia advised Moldred to return to her embrace in the future once Thagirian was slain. Moldred and Ecclesia's memories only extend so far. In the future, Ecclesia will embark on an expedition to defeat Thagirian and encounter Audra, the first antagonist of the world of Avalon, in the midst of the expedition. Part 2. Audra and Ecclesia. The orchestra is the researchers and musicians of the Elysian Order. The orchestra members are actually the same people from the Elysium Philharmonic, and its president is Nikitia. They have several duties, conducting research and using it for military purposes. Some examples of their research include solar gates and mental printing. Solar gates are a dimensional jump technology for teleporting near the counterside, or even to different parallel worlds. Mental printing is a method developed by Nikitia with the aim of transferring human memories to different individuals along with their counterpowers, so that powerful individuals like Ecclesia can be mass-produced, even though the individuals who received Ecclesia's memories were previously only amateurs in combat. The day of the expedition's defeat of Thagirian arrived. Once they had moved through the solar gate, they continued their journey on foot to the counterside. On the way, they encountered Audra, whom they had just rescued from a CO attack. Audra and Ecclesia chatted briefly. From the conversation, Ecclesia learned that Audra had been searching for her sister, even as far as the counterside, which was very far from the center of Elysian. Ecclesia also knew that Audra was not a Christian. According to the rules, all beliefs would be categorized as paganism, apostasy, and so on, except for Christian beliefs. After a brief conversation, Audra decided to join the expedition to defeat Thagirian. Audra also learned a lot from Ecclesia about the corruption syndrome, the Order, and so on. Long story short, they had successfully defeated Thagirian and returned to Elysian. Upon arriving in Elysian, those returning through the gates, including Audra, were welcomed by the people and various members of the Order. She also wanted to discuss the award for Audra, a pagan. Some objected, but Nikitia realized that contributors to the expedition should not be treated unfairly. The Ecclesia even personally appointed Audra a paladin, and Audra returned to contribute formally as a soldier under the Ecclesia's leadership. However, the Ecclesia and Audra's happy moment was short-lived, as Audra began searching for her sister, who had long since disappeared across the country. Audra still hadn't found her sister until one day she tried to search the temple according to the Ecclesia's instructions. It was possible that her sister was being held as a sinner and punished. This was because Audra had previously said that her sister had gone searching for a poisonous flower called the white frost flower. According to information the Ecclesia received from Senna, searching for the flower was illegal because it could destroy stigmata, or one's power as a counter. Shenna also explained that pagans also hated stigmata and didn't want a career in the military and defeat the CO, so they poisoned themselves. Audra then sneaked into the temple Ecclesia had told her about. She did find her sister, but she was already dead from experiments conducted by the orchestra. Only her brain remained, enclosed in a glass container. There was a name tag that matched her sister's name, and Audra was sure it was her sister. Later, Audra was indeed discovered by those inside the temple. She defended herself and fled the temple. Nikitia heard and guessed what had happened. She ordered everyone to slander Audra for betrayal. Especially Ecclesia, she must not know the truth that the orchestra's research had sacrificed her sister Audra. That was also Audra's last day in Elysian. Ecclesia never saw her again in the Elysian area. Why was Nikitia so cruel to Audra? Simply put, Nikitia loved Ecclesia deeply. Although Nikitia couldn't see, Ecclesia was the sun that had saved her when she was being abused in the concentration camp years ago. She didn't want Audra to be the reason Ecclesia stopped shining throughout her life. Nikitia wanted Ecclesia to remain the perfect person she always was.
She knew she was wrong for conducting the experiment that killed Audra's sister, but she felt it was necessary for the survival of Avalon. Ecclesia had long known about the Order's barbarity, but like Nicatia, she felt it was necessary. In fact, Nicatia didn't hesitate to convey the evils of the Elysian Order before Audra rebelled in the temple and ultimately left with a vengeance.
Sometime later, the sun disappeared and snow fell. Everyone knew that Thagirion had reincarnated. At this crucial moment, Ecclesia, deceived by Niquidia, still hoped to see Audra again. It was because Audra's contribution to the Thagirion expedition was enormous, but he failed to meet her. Finally, he held another expedition and attacked the new Thagirion. He was shocked when he saw Audra sitting on the throne of Thagirion. Audra was the new Thagirion. At that moment, he experienced a moral downfall. Because he did not expect his enemy to be Audra, he did not put up a significant resistance because his ability to counter came from two things: his determination and the people's trust in him. Audra easily defeated the Ecclesia army, and he was forced to wear black armor. He could not move at all for decades because of the heavy weight and seal of the armor. Shortly after Ecclesia's defeat, Audra destroyed all the existing countries in a matter of days. Several decades passed, and the world was practically finished, except for one hidden village. In that village, there was still a sacred tree stump, and where Merlin was there. The tree stump had the power to keep the area safe from massive CO attacks. Part 3. Mor's Journey. One day, Moldred and Morgana returned to Elysian through a sun gate carved into a tree stump. They embarked on an expedition in hopes of finding a new world safer than the current Avalon. Then they encountered Mors and freed him. Mors then aided Moldred and Morgana several times in their fight against Solicitatio, Audra's sister, who had returned as an apostle. The game's story doesn't specify whether Audra performed the reconstruction or whether she was actually able to revive her sister, even as a CO. Long story short, Audra successfully brought the world of Avalon to its end. Once Mors realized there was nothing more to be done in that world, he left for another. The story continues in the world of Swan Claire. In Swan Claire's world, Ecclesia was present to prevent Thagirion from arriving. However, the results were unsuccessful. This world was destroyed by the demon lord and apostle Solicitatio. Alistair, a parallel form of Audra's sister, also became an apostle and is known as Nervier. Shortly after the destruction of that world, Ecclesia left and reached the final world. In the final world, Ecclesia appeared to defeat Thagirion and his apostles and defeated the Elysium Philharmonic. She held a grudge against Maestra for killing Audra's sister, for deceiving her, and against Audra herself for destroying Elysian. Ecclesia's regrets about Audra and the mental printing experiment also still weighed on Mors's mind. Mor's story continues in the final world. Ecclesia first appears in the bottom of the Shade substream, wearing black armor and called Mors. She is also known for her dangerous rumors among mercenaries and counters. In this substream, she appears to prevent Solicitatio from forming new apostles for Thagirion. Unfortunately, Ecclesia fails again. Rita Arsenico, Solicitatio's parallel form, also becomes a Thagirion apostle. In the Carnival substream, Mors is visited by Pio Vargas. For those who have forgotten, Pio Vargas, also known by his codename Montagna, is a member of the Cardenas division. His older brother, Sid, died in a troubleshooting operation on the same day Alice Braidwood died. Pio comes to offer cooperation in his attempt to kill Revenant, who is working as a spy agent. Who is Revenant? Revenant's real name is Leah Schneider, a young girl who serves as the vessel for the severely injured Maestra. Maestra resides in a revenant's body and has been hiding from the administration for 20 years. So Pio's goal is to get Mors to attack Maestra, who was still asleep at that time. Mors continues to chase the Revenant throughout this chapter with Montagna. However, instead of successfully killing the Revenant, Maestra instead revives and takes control of the Revenant's main body. After her resurrection, Maestra and her members retreat first. Ecclesia actually hasn't given up on pursuing Maestra. She also did the same thing in the Frozen Corridors substream and in the Goodbye Tanabaran substream. In the Goodbye Tanabaran substream, the defeat of the Elysium Philharmonic members has occurred. The remaining members are Luna and the Plaga only. Maestra, whom she had been chasing all this time, was defeated by Christina Brecht with Tech Gear 5th, and she was sealed back into a human.
In the latest story of Ecclesia continues in Chapter 11. After the Cliffoth game, Ecclesia felt the weight of her black armor lighten, which means Thagirion will slowly rise to that world. In the Exile chapter, Swan Claire wanted to summon Thagirion by lifting all the Arc Seals. Ecclesia also fought against Swan Claire, but lost, and Swan managed to lift one of the Arc Seals. In this Exile chapter, Ecclesia fought Thagirion for the last time. Based on the conversation between Thagirion and Swan Claire at the end of episode 13, Thagirion had defeated Ecclesia, whom he had previously let live. It is very possible that when Thagirion visited Swan, Ecclesia had already been killed by Thagirion in the Cliffa dimension.